Hi, I'm Ross from Airsoft, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Wolverine MTW Dig 2 XM177 E2. This is the second addition to the Wolverine MTW Fossil Collection. This is the Dig 2. The previous Dig 1 we saw came with their Quake stock and STX engine, and this one has some similarities, but also some very stark differences. So let's get into it. This guy is built to resemble the real-world Colt Commando Car 15, the XM177 E2. Specifically the Model 629 Commando because it has the forward assist. Some other models did not have the forward assist as well as other changes, but that is what defines this model specifically, is that forward assist there. Now the main difference between the E1 and the E2 is the barrel length. The E1 had a 10-inch barrel that went right up to here, and the E2 has an 11.5-inch barrel. So you have an extra 1.5 inches of length right here at the end, and that is really your main difference between the E1 and E2. Now this guy was developed in the midst of the Vietnam War to fill the gap for a shorter length M16 that still took rifle rounds. In the year 1967, this guy was most notably issued to MACV SOG soldiers. It is a very historically relevant and important piece in that time period, and it was often seen in impressions, video games, and media outside. So this is definitely a replica a lot of people are familiar with. However, its usage was very limited. Outside of the Vietnam War, it hasn't seen much action at all. It had problems with jamming and feeding, issues with running tracer rounds, so there were a lot of issues with the real-world variant, but it is iconic enough to still be in our minds today. And I'm very happy to say that these feeding issues and issues that the original one have is not something that you are going to find in an Airsoft version. I have this guy set up a little bit more retro with the TGL equipment sling on here, as well as a Vietnam style 20-round magazine. However, when you purchase your MTW, it will come like this out of the box. You have an orange tip on here, as well as a full 30-round magazine. So to begin from tip to butt, as I said, you do have an orange tip on here out of the box. However, it does come with the correct moderator as well, which I have on this guy here. This moderator comes in the box, and it is a simple screw off and screw on. There is no set screw or glue or anything holding that thread in place, so it is an easy swap to get the proper moderator on there. And then of course these are 14mm threads, so if you happen to not want the moderator and wanted a different type of barrel extension, tracer, suppressor, anything on there, you do have those options available. We come back a bit and we have our fixed front sight post here, as well as a sling mount underneath, and you do have your attachment for a grenade launcher as well. So if you wanted to lose your bottom rail on your front handguard here, you could mount a underbarrel grenade launcher, which is something that was seen during the time period of this rifle. So as I said, you do have this 6-hole handguard. This is the Car 15 handguard. There are a few different attachments you can put in here, as well as Picatinny rail slots that can be screwed on and attached. A lot of very retro style stuff fits onto here that can make this gun look really, really cool. Coming further back, we have a fixed carry handle. This is the first MTW spec receiver to have a fixed carry handle built in, so this carry handle is not removable. However, you do have a pinhole here on the bottom of it, which will allow you to screw on different weaver mounts for optics on there if you would like. Moving down, we have the engraved serialized lower. It has the Fossil Series logo, as well as some details about the real XM177, and then you of course have your numbered replica. So on the one side here, you will have your number, the Dig 2 dash, and then your product out of 200, because that is how many of these were made. This is a limited release of 200. They won't be producing more. So if you have yours, it is numbered 1 through 200, and you know what model you have. Moving down a bit lower, we have an A1 style grip, and then of course your magazine. As I said, your replica will come with this metal 30-round magazine. It is a mid-cap magazine that is made by King Arms, so it is stamped King Arms on the bottom, but this is the magazine that will come with your replica. I have opted to put the 20-round short magazine in there just because I like the way it looks. However, both magazines are correct. When this rifle was issued in the Vietnam War, Colt had promised 30-round magazines with all of the replicas. However, they were not able to fulfill on the production when they first issued them, so most soldiers ended up with 20-round magazines or 30 rounds they bought with their own personal funds. So the 20-round magazine is a bit more accurate to the issued version, but obviously it is up to, operators' use case and preference. So now moving all the way back, finally, we have the Car 15 stock, which has a nice little sling loop here on the back. It is a multi-point buffer tube, so you do have several points of adjustment in here for the different lengths of your buffer tube as well. So a lot of kind of customization can be done to this guy despite it looking like it cannot. They have been able to build these out a lot. There are a lot of great reference pictures throughout history of these things being built in unique ways to operator preference. So just know that these can be utilized in a variety of ways. So now to speak on some of the internals of the replica. I will first talk about what's going on down here in the grip. We have our macro line coming out, and then there is a cap which comes right off of your grip down there. And that is where your mini lipo will go in. So you'll stick a mini lipo in there, put the cap back on, and you are ready to go as soon as you hook air up. All of your electronics for this replica are inside of the gun. It is using the Blink board, so that is Bluetooth technology. So any adjustments you need to make, you have to link your phone through Bluetooth and then make said adjustments. It is a really good system that, is very intuitive and allows you a lot of control over your system. I'll say that the only downside can be the possible connection issues with a phone and the Blink board, whether you're on the field, somewhere without internet connection, any other series of issues like that. You don't have a physical board you can manipulate and mess with settings on. So that is something to be aware of and keep in mind when you go out to the field and play. But assuming that all the technology works the way it should, this is a much easier and more intuitive way of adjusting any of the settings on your replica, especially out on the field or during a game. It really alleviates the having to open up your replica, take a stock off, go into your grip, and adjust your settings like that. So the Blink board is definitely a new piece of technology that I'm happy to see them utilizing. It definitely increases the amount that you can really fine-tune this without technical knowledge. So I definitely recommend looking into the Blink boards and how they work. And if you are picking one of these up, obviously learn all of the settings and really look through the instruction manuals to see how you can get your replica to perform the best that it possibly can. And then finally, last but not least, this guy does have the Inferno STX engine in here. So that is based off of their Gen 2 Inferno. It has an air hookup in the back for their Quake stock, which is their recoil style stock. The Dig 1 that they had released did come with a Quake stock attached. The Dig 2 in front of me here does not. So these guys do not come with that Quake stock. However, if you would like to add it on there, since it is the Wolverine STX engine, you can do so. So you can convert this into a Quake stock replica, which I would love to see somebody do that. I think that would be a really cool build, having a somewhat recoil XM177. I think it'd be cool. So that's what's going on inside of this replica. You have the Inferno STX, you also have their Blink board technology. It's everything you expect from Wolverine with the custom-made body and everything being built to fit with Wolverine MTW parts. So that's a very positive thing to see. As we know, Wolverine continues to produce very strong replicas that last on the field for quite a long time. So the last thing I'll say is that Wolverine does recommend running this guy between 80 and 150 PSI. I put 90 PSI through it and I got 1.6 joules with a 0.32. So just an idea of where you might be chronoing at. For most fields, especially if you're gonna try to run this guy out or indoors, you're gonna have to turn your PSI down, I think, pretty significantly. However, for outdoor, it's gonna be just great the way it's set up right now. I'm getting really good efficiency out of it with the shorter barrel that we have here. So overall, I'm very impressed with it. So let me know what you guys think. I personally am a huge fan of Wolverine working on some of these more retro style replicas and bringing them back to life with, their own kind of touch and, still sticking true to the accuracy and history of a replica. So I would love to hear what you think. Are you interested in picking one of these up? What replica or M4 variant do you think Wolverine should take a look at making next? Love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ross from Airsoft. Have a good one.